Today's reading comes from Rays of the One Light, Weekly Commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita by Swami Ananda. Many are the pathways to truth. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. On the dedication page of Swami Kriyananda's book, The Path, appears the following account. A group of Paramahansa Yogananda's disciples had gone with him to see a movie about the life of Gyandev, a great saint of medieval India. Afterwards, they gathered and listened to the master explain certain subtle aspects of that aspiring story. A young man in the group mentioned another film he had seen years earlier in India about the life of Mirabai, a famous woman saint. If you'd seen that movie, he exclaimed, you wouldn't even have liked this one. The guru rebuked him. Why make such comparisons? The lives of great saints manifest in various ways the same, one God. The Bible contains a similar account in the Gospel of St. Luke, chapter 9. And John said, Master, we saw one casting out devils in thy name, and we forbade him, because he followeth not with us. And Jesus said unto him, Forbid him not, for he that is not against us is for us. The more central a truth, the greater the number of contexts in which it can be applied. Truth is like a pure white light, containing within itself the full spectrum of the rainbow. Let no one tell you what your path to God ought to be. Many are the paths. Select your own according to the dictates of your own nature, no matter how out of step that puts you with other people. Sri Krishna in the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita states, trying even unsuccessfully to fulfill one's own spiritual duty, dharma, is better than pursuing successfully the duties of others. Better death itself in the pursuance of one's own duties. The pursuance of another's duties is fraught with spiritual danger. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
To begin reading the dedication page of Yoganandaji's book, Whispers from Eternity, because it so perfectly fits with the topic this morning, which is many are the pathways to truth. So after I read the dedication page, then I'll just read a very brief prayer demand of Masters. Dedicated unto all the soul temples of Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, Hebrews, Hindus, and others, wherein the cosmic heart is throbbing equally always, and unto all the multicolored lamps of various true teachings, in which shines the same one white flame of God, and unto all churches, mosques, viharas, tabernacles, and temples of the world, wherein our own one Father dwells impartially in the fullness of his glory. And the cosmic salutation, the prayer of Master, O Spirit, I bow to thee in front of me, behind me, on the left and on the right. I bow to thee above and beneath. I bow to thee all around me. I bow to thee within and without me. I bow to thee everywhere, for thou art omnipresent. Beautiful words of Yogananda. Every week we read from it, and perhaps every day. A wonderful little book to have beside your bed or on the coffee table, somewhere in your own home, in your sacred space. Maybe it's on your altar. To pick it up every day, whether you go from number 1 to the end or whether you just open it and read his words. Every day, read the words of our master, of our guru, and just see how he touches each and every heart that opens to him. He does it again and again, and we all know it. I see the heads shaking. Yes, he does. He does it. You know, we have CDs out in the boutique of his voice. And over the years now, I've listened to all of them more than once, and it's helped me on so many levels. One, I can understand his accent better now, because the first time it was like, not sure of what you might be saying. I catch a few words here and there, but the vibration is incredible. So number 1, we get to understand his accent. Number 2, it's starting to feel the power of his words, of his vibration. We can literally listen. He's out of the body, but we can hear his voice. And number 3, after the power that we start to feel in his voice, we also begin to know that it is truth, that everything he says is truth. And each one of us has to tune into that on our own level, on our own perception of truth. You know, in my very first year here, I can remember a few things were said, and it was like, I'm not sure about that. Maybe I didn't hear it in the words of Yoganandaji yet, but I heard it in the words of my teachers, who I really came to trust and love so much. And they taught me how to meditate, and then they prepared me for Kriya. And, you know, after about a year and a half, we had that Kriya initiation, but I certainly still wasn't sure about, and I'll tell you, it was reincarnation. For me, it was like, I'm not sure. My Catholic upbringing didn't accept that. I'm trying to accept it. I'm not sure about it. And you know what they suggested I do? Put it on the shelf. Don't toss it out. Just put it on the shelf. And if it is truth for me at some point in my life, I will get it. It's not that I'll understand it so much with my intellect, but I will start to resonate with, oh, reincarnation. Didn't figure it out mentally, but eventually I came to know it as truth. And then when I did start thinking about it, it made so much sense. So we have his voice, listen to his voice, feel his power, his truth, and get his accent to understanding too, because that was a big one for me. I really didn't know many Indians back then, and that was a little bit of a challenge. You know, in the reading today, there was a devotee who compared the two movies and said, if you would have seen this movie, that one wouldn't even have, is nothing compared to this one. Well, perhaps occasionally we may even do that. And if we do, just try to recognize that we're doing that. All the great ones tell us it doesn't matter the pathway to our truth, as long as we're seeking the truth, that we will find it. We put one foot in front of the others. We have the tools on this particular path of self-realization that help us to meditate, to go within, and from within ourselves, we start to learn the truth. We feel the truth. We feel the vibration of when it is truth. And we have the discrimination that begins to awaken more and more of when something perhaps is not truth. But if for someone else that is truth, who are we to have to fix them, to tell them, to make sure they realize that's not truth? Because where they are in their evolvement, all of us, we perceive truth from the place we are. And that's why it's so important to go within ourselves. And from that place, through the blessings of meditation, through the upliftment of our consciousness that the masters have promised us, that then we will start to resonate more and more and identify what is truth for me in this moment. And perhaps even what is truth that I can't yet perceive, I can't quite get it, but I'm going there. And when it is truth, we will get there because we're evolving toward the truth more and more in every instant of our life, every day, every year. How blessed we are to have this line of masters, to have the tools of meditation, of Kriya Yoga, that it is promised. We will come to know and realize the truth that we are one with God already. You know, sometimes I'll speak for myself, sometimes we have great meditations. Sometimes we come here and I just feel so inspired by things that go on here. We chant for evenings, brief meditations, and after you're chanting and your heart is so open and connected with God, it's zing. That 10-minute meditation is so deep in that 10 minutes. Sometimes it's a gathering, a satsang at someone's house, where suddenly you find yourself communicating with one or two people on a deep topic. It just happens. This is what happens. And then what I've learned, these great experiences do change us, do touch us and uplift us. And then, you know, I get in the car and I drive home and I try to listen to Master's voice or Swami Kriyananda's voice and stay in that vibration of high upliftment, and somehow I forget. And then the next thing, it's not that we plummet, because at this point in our lives, we're not going to do the big ups and downs, but we are going to have the experiences of God, and we're going to have the times when we forget. And listening to Asha just the other night, she mentioned the fact, she said, I would go in the early days of Ananda village with the other women, the nuns, into our little teepee meditation temple, and we would meditate and have these deep experiences. And she said, and then I'd come back and I'd start thinking, oh, we're on our way to breakfast, and oh yeah, I'm hungry. And she'd say, and the next thing I knew, by Jove, there I was again. I was there again. Asha was there again with the same tendencies, with the limitations that tended to be in her human self. But again, as we trust and experience, these limitations and these tendencies tend to melt away. Typically, at least for me, it doesn't seem to be overnight. It takes some time. But we start to trust more that the masters are dissolving. They are allowing these little things that tend to make us forget or get into whatever little limitations we have in life. And how many opportunities do we get? Whether it's at our job, right? Whether our job is at home with children, whether our job is at home doing the work, supporting a husband or a wife. I mean, we have all of these things that go on in our life, and they're all there to help us remember, oops, there I am again falling. Why did he say that to me? She didn't really mean that, I'm sure, because that wasn't fair. Whatever it is, we get the opportunity to go, oh, you know what? It was just words. Beyond. I am beyond this. Not I, but the highest within me is beyond these little naggy things. And then we perhaps learn, communication with the other, whether it's a spouse or a friend. Whatever it is that starts to bother us, perhaps it is second chakra. Communication that we would benefit to learn to share and to speak. Everything that happens, whether it's a big deal or whether it's a little deal, or we put the big or little deal on it, don't we? But it's all there for our own learning. It won't come to us if it's not our karma to come to us, or our dharma to experience it, our duty, our spiritual duty to address certain things in our life. It won't come if it's not ours. But if it is ours because we need to learn a lesson, or we need to pay off some past karma, however you want to phrase it, then it will come us because it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to move beyond it whatever it may be. And you may be sitting there thinking what it is. Well, whatever it is temporary. It's just a minor little limitation. Immediately when I start to go into, oh, I can't believe I'm doing this again, whatever it is. I'm going to use anger because anger is not one of my things. So I'm going to use this. So if someone is one who tends to get angry and gets the heart all agitated in anger, then I say, because people will tell me these things, they'll come talk, and I'll say, that is so limited, meaning, so temporary. It is such a temporary thing. The good news is you're aware of it, whatever it is happening for you, that tends to separate you from God. So as soon as you have the awareness, train your mind. Our mind is very trainable to immediately turn to Guru. If they have a Guru, if they've accepted one of this line of gurus or another guru in their life, immediately, as soon as you're aware it is happening, train yourself. Guruji, this is not me. I am one with you. I am one with the Mother, the Father God. So it's just a little thing that we have to go through. It's little games. I like to think of them as games because I see games now in my life as fun and not so competitive. But I know you all know I play tennis, and yes, I am competitive on the tennis court, but not with the same intensity that I was in my 30s and 40s and even 50s. So I've learned that the game of life can be fun, it can be interesting. And when is it the most fun? Well, at this point in my life, and I have a feeling for most of you, it's when we bring God and Guru into it, into the game of life. And again, we go back into the game of life with Master. Doesn't that sound much more fun than the game of life with its blah, blah, blah? I have people, who say these things, and I'm not going to tell them, you're wrong. We are each where we are. So if we think life is a drudgery or a boredom or so taxing on us, you can feel the stress. Because when people have that attitude, it is stressful. And what we're all learning to do is relax. Because God's in charge. Divine Mother's the one. So walk with him, with her, hand in hand. Relax. Get through the situation. Don't just get through it. Dive into it and say, hooray, you're giving me another opportunity to let go of my limitations, my tendencies, and to become more pure like you, who already exist here. Isn't it fun? Can I see some nods of heads? Is it fun with God, with Mother? Again and again. So when you find yourself in the next one, which could be as soon as you walk out the door, I pray that it's not, for all of us, may it be way down the road, but let's just get it done. Let's address it. Let's dive into our challenges that come. First, we have to be aware of them. That's the deal. When I heard the words from my doctor over 5 years ago now, I am so surprised, she said. I'd never thought the results would come back this way, but you have stage 1 cancer. When I heard those words, I was sitting in this office, and what a blessing. She called me here. And when I sit at that desk, and that door is open, which it usually is, guess who I can see? And when Dr. Laidley said, I'm so surprised, never would I dreamed it. You have stage 1 cancer. Well, number 1, I heard stage 1. Thank you. Number 2, I heard cancer. And I looked in here, and I saw these pictures. And I thought, wow, this feels big. But I want to tell you, through that experience, it was incredible. At first, I wasn't going to tell anyone at Ananda. I was going to tell my sons because I was going to have a little procedure and get things done and all that. And then I realized, why you're not telling your most intimate family that you have chosen in your life? So I spoke to a few people in person, and then I sent out the email, and I didn't make it a big deal because I suddenly realized this really is not a big deal. what's the worst can happen? That I die. Whoa, that could be okay. What I was more afraid of was the unknown in between this moment and the dying. Meaning, what was I going to have to go through? And I realized, the masters, if I walk with them and keep Divine Mother at the top priority, dealing with each thing, going to meet the doctor, preparing for the operation, getting this done, now you're into some radiation. If I do each little thing with God, and what happened, and I didn't plan this, I don't think I could make it happen if I wanted to, but it came like I was suddenly outside of my body, watching another person, because we all know people who have walked through many steps of illness or not good health for a period of time, and either we die or we recover, okay? And so I was outside of the body watching this happen. And what I received from all of that was so many blessings. Number one, some individuals brought me food. Another individual, because I couldn't drive for the first few days after, it was fairly minor surgery. They drove me here. I got to sit in the back row. I couldn't play guitar because of the situation, because it was up here, and it was painful for a while. So I never get to sit in the back row. Number one, that was a great blessing. Maitri did the music. I sat back there enchanted and blessed. Someone drove me here, someone drove me home. It was great. Food started coming. Wow, this is pretty good. Really good, healthy cooking. And then there was more. So there I am now for 5 days having little radiation. I have this device inserted into the body, half in, half out. That's how they did it. The radiation little chip comes in through a wire and you watch it. Everybody else is outside with red lights flashing in the room where I am. And yeah, well, that's how they do the radiation. Nobody else is in there, just you. Red lights flashing, warning, warning, and I'm going, and I'm in here? The good news is I asked if I could have the CD of Om playing during the radiation treatments. They said yes. It was only 5 days, twice a day. And on day one, the physicist who's about to arrange all of this says, so what do you have playing? I said, oh, it's called Om, and it's by Swami Ananda. And he's chanting Om, the vibration of Divine Mother, the vibration of the universe, and that's what I just wanted playing. He said, you know, I went over and looked at it because I saw a different CD happened to be over there because they were going to have other music playing. He said, and I read Swami Ananda. I know him. I've seen him or heard him or read a book by him, I can't remember which, but the physicist tells me, I know Swami Ananda. He's the one that lived with Yogananda. Wow. And that was on day one of the radiation. Do you not think I knew? A sign from heaven, a sign from Master. You're still in good hands. You're in my good hands from the Lord, but you're also in good hands from the physical people on earth that I send. Here's someone who knows Yogananda and Swamiji, and he's the one administering. There were so many blessings, I cannot tell you, in that experience. And again, the worst thing would have been that I would have died and gone home and been greeted by my guru and Jesus. Maybe they're all one. I don't know if they're going to show up as, I don't know how it's going to be. Does anybody remember in the last lifetime when you left the body? I don't either. But I'm excited. I know Jesus and Yogananda, and I'm sure the other guys who I bow to and don't seem to know as well, but that I've learned to trust and to bring into my life at different part, depending on what's going on in my life. Depends on who I call on, but most of the time it's Master Yogananda. And of course Jesus. And this is the way we work with life. Whatever comes is exactly the right situation for us. Doesn't matter who we call out to, if it's Buddha, Yogananda, St. Francis, Jesus, none of that matters. Many are the pathways to God. We find our pathway and then we walk it. Walk it with determination, walk it with as much concentration in every moment of our lives. That's what's most important, is that we continue in our life to walk it consciously, because then our consciousness is more uplifted into the divine consciousness, which is really our nature. And I love, if I can find this quote from Asha, I wrote something down. She said, I don't know that I'm going to find it, but in a nutshell, she said, whatever comes to you is exactly perfect in what is supposed to come to you, and if it doesn't come to you, it's because it's not supposed to come to you. And I went, whoa. I had to I kept rewinding and listening to that, rewind and listen to that, because that's it. It is perfect, whatever comes to us. It is either karma, or it is for our learning. It's dive into it, work through it with God, and move on to the next one until we're totally free of all these next times, because they don't have to continue to come again and again. In this lifetime, we can walk this lifetime, and we can be totally free in this lifetime and continue to serve on earth. And that's another big deal. Serve. Wherever you are, serve God and Guru. Doesn't matter what you're doing, grocery store, job, with a friend, having dinner, whatever it is, serve God and Guru. I think I'm going to end there. I had another story, but I think it's the perfect time to say, peace.